Hi, my name is Clive Vernon. I'm lead tutor for Construction Skills Training Limited here in Caerphilly. Today we're going to look at a leaking tap. Now this is a problem and anybody can solve this problem whether you've got a high skill level or no skill at all. It's a very simple operation. We're going to be using some very simple tools. We've got a flat bladed screwdriver, we've got a Phillips screwdriver and we've got an adjustable spanner as well. Okay? So the first thing we need to do, and we can see that the tap is dripping quite badly, we need to find the isolator. The isolator is a small valve which allows us to turn the water supply off, and that we will find underneath where the tap is. So I'm just going to turn that off. So you can see this is the pipe that's feeding the tap that's causing us a problem, and here is the isolator. So I place my flat bladed screwdriver into the isolator and I turn it so that it is now in a crossed position. So I've now turned the water off to that supply, and we can prove that by opening the tap and seeing if any water comes out. Nothing at all. So we now know that the supply has been turned off. Now it's just a simple case of using my little flat bladed screwdriver and lifting the top of the tap off, like so. Okay. At this point I always use a piece of paper, and the idea behind the piece of paper is that when I put something down, the order that I take it off, it's just the reverse order to put things back together. It's just a simple little mechanism of making sure we don't make a mistake. There's a small screw in the top of the tap, which I'm now going to use my Phillips screwdriver to undo. Place it in, and again I'm turning anti-clockwise to undo that screw. Take the screw all the way out, and again place it down there on my piece of paper. There's a little blue cap which tells me that it's the cold tap, and I'm going to place that on my piece of paper as well. The top of my tap now comes off, and again place it on my piece of paper. Here now we have a nut, and this nut is attached to the whole mechanism of the tap. So I place my adjustable spanner onto the nut and adjust it so that it's a nice tight fit. Once I've got a nice tight fit, I'm going to move the tap in the anti-clockwise direction again, but I'm going to hold the tap itself against that so that this doesn't move. And now I've undone the tap. This should be quite loose, and we can undo this with our fingers. If not, just do it a couple more times with the spanner and turn this until the whole thing should just come out quite simply. There we are. And here is our washer that we're going to now replace. Okay. So now I'm going to remove the damaged washer, and this could be caused just by a little bit of grit or something like that in the water supply. And what I'm going to do is place a flat bladed screwdriver underneath it and just simply lift that washer off. Okay? Place that to one side, and I have a new one here. Place the new one on and simply just press it down with your thumb until the washer fits nicely and neatly back onto the mechanism. Okay? I'm now going to place this back into the tap, push it all the way home, and now I'm screwing clockwise to tighten it back up. And the same thing now applies. We got to the point where I can't turn it anymore by hand, so I'm going to place my spanner onto the nut, adjust it so that it's a nice tight fit, and again holding the tap against myself, just give it a little pinch. It hasn't got to be really, really tight, just a little pinch, and that's enough. And now it's just a simple case of doing everything in reverse. So I pick up my tap top and place it back onto my tap. My little blue cap goes back on, because as you remember, it was a cold tap. And then the small screw goes into the center, and again we're going to turn that in a clockwise direction until it's nice and tight. There we go. And then finally the little silver cap goes back onto the top. I'm now going to make sure that the tap is turned off. So again, in the clockwise direction, make sure the tap is turned off before I turn my water supply back on. We're going to go back down under the sink now. I'm going to turn our water supply back on, and again I'm going to place my flat bladed screwdriver in and turn until we're in line with the pipe again, and you can see we are, and the water supply is now back onto the tap. There may be a surge here, like a splash as it comes out, because we've now got a little bit of air in there, so just be careful and turn it on slowly. And there it comes. And there's my water, and I'm now going to turn the water off and make sure that it stops dripping. You'll always get one or two little drips at the end, just while that's left in the barrel of the tap. And there we are. We've solved our problem. Okay? Just with a few simple tools and a washer which costs pennies, we've probably saved ourselves somewhere in the region of 30 or 40 pounds by calling somebody out. If this was an emergency and this was running all the time, then we're talking about a minimum of a £50 call out from a professional plumber plus his hourly rate on top. So the saving could be somewhere in the region of £70 or £80 just for the sake of a couple of simple tools and a simple tap washer.